We are talking the Invoking 5, Phantoms. The Invoking is a low-budget horror anthology series that has been going since 2013. So they've been cranking these things out once a year. And, yeah, so this one has 4 stories that are seemingly unconnected. There's no wraparound or anything like that. So a lot of these kind of anthologies will have a theme, or they'll have some type of kind of like through narrative, or sometimes you'll get ones that are simply a collection of short stories that have been made and then kind of thrown together. And I get the feeling that pretty much is what the Invoking is. It's just kind of a bunch of unrelated stories that have just kind of been picked up and then packaged together as a kind of an anthology film. So this one has 4 stories. Now, it says the theme is Phantoms. I'd actually say the theme here is art house horror, because all 4 of these films seem to be kind of somewhat experimental, somewhat kind of like arty in nature. So obviously this is going to be the big thing, whether you're going to kind of quite like it. They're all kind of a little bit surreal and kind of, you know, abstract to a certain degree. Don't expecting any kind of like straight kind of like narrative story with kind of, you know, arcs and things like that. It's all very kind of like... you know, weirdly aesthetically arty, if that makes sense. So the first one, you have this woman who appears to be blind, and she's kind of in this apartment. The camera angle here is pretty much one kind of shot with a couple of kind of close-ups, really. And there's this blind woman waiting for someone, and she's kind of, you know, has knocking on the door, and there's someone there. There seems to be some type of presence there. This doesn't really go anywhere, this movie, and although I thought the actress was quite good, I just didn't think there was much to it. It was just kind of there was it did have a kind of a somewhat of a creepy atmosphere, because you can empathise with this woman because she's blind and doesn't know what's kind of going on. But there wasn't really anything there, to be honest. The second one takes place in the 1950s and is once again a malevolent force kind of like harassing this woman, as will be the third one. So this in the second one, yeah, we have this woman who is a kind of like stay-at-home wife, and a kind of chauvinistic husband is out kind of doing things, and she seems to have some type of mental breakdown. She's kind of addicted to these pills, and there seems to be some type of malevolent force, maybe in the walls of her home, that seems to want to take over. This one has a little bit more to it, I would say, but even so, it still is somewhat abstract and kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The third one is completely incomprehensible. Basically, we have this. It's the longest movie, the longest out of these short films. And there's this kind of like this couple, and well, the woman kind of has this kind of stone, finds this stone on the beach which has got a circle on it, like a kind of like a hole. So she sort of keeps it as good luck. There's this kind of strange Cthulhu-esque kind of book that she's picked up, and she's kind of visited by, again, strange kind of malevolent spiritual forces, and she's kind of like seeing things, and you know, the boyfriend doesn't kind of really know what's going on. There's lots of kind of like, this one has the most in regards to special effects. There are some kind of CGI visions here, but they're all kind of dream sequences, so to speak, and there's some weird like tentacle things that are flying around that are really badly animated. Probably the most to this one, I would say. But again, I think the story was just incomprehensible in this one, unfortunately. And the acting wasn't brilliant either, if I'm completely honest. The final story is a little bit of a departure, because it actually has nothing to do with malevolent spirits for a change. And this one's completely different, and this one focuses on this guy who is a kind of a bit of a loner, a bit of a kind of a, you know, the guy you never really want to talk to, if that makes sense. He looks like he's a bit of a weirdo. And he's this guy who is just kind of going about his daily routine, and the end of the world happens, but he's kind of so wrapped up in his own little bubble, and kind of like, because he's a bit of a social outcast, so to speak, simply doesn't notice that the world is ended ultimately, and is still kind of going on to work and stuff like that. And the only other female survivor is kind of like this woman who, you know, he has a little bit of a crush on, but he just doesn't notice that the rest of the world is kind of falling to pieces around him. That one I thought was quite fun, I will say. There's no real narrative with it, again, but I actually quite, you know, I thought it was quite a well-made film. It had some quite kind of little directorial flourishes. This one I thought that was quite good. So this one to me stood out the most, because the other 3 just seemed very generic. I mean, there was just nothing to them ultimately. This one at least had, I feel, a little bit more style. That all 4 of these movies have kind of a very kind of artistic kind of like style. There are more style over substance, if that makes sense. And some people might like kind of like artistic or, you know, alternative cinema, and this may be the thing for you. But for me, even the fourth one, although I thought it was the best, I really didn't think it was all of that special in regards to a particularly memorable kind of short film. I'm not the biggest anthology film fan, I will be honest, because I prefer to have a bit of characterization, and you struggle to get that with anthologies, unfortunately. So I never really connect with the characters. But the Invoking series of what I've seen so far has been relatively weak, I will say, and this one is no exception. There are some nice stylistic choices here, I will say that, but unfortunately none of the stories really grabbed me, so I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.